And welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me and Chris. It's good to have Chris back.
Yeah, we're back. It's good to be back, Dan.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for that.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Today we're going to rank all 20 managers. We're going to put them in a tier list. So top tier is going to be the elite level. We're going to call that what? Big Sam?
Yeah, Big Sam would be the elite level.
Sam's
top tier.
So that's going to be for the creme de la creme. Then we're going to have the next tier down is going to be decent.
Yeah, decent. Solid Premier League manager. Yeah.
Next one?
Next one we'll have sort of mid-table,
Mid-table?
Yeah.
Mid-table. And
nothing
then...
more, nothing special.
No.
And then we'll just have Championship at best, maybe?
Championship at best.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So, who are we going to start off with?
Should we go in alphabetical order?
Go on him.
Oh, right. Strangely, Bournemouth's above Arsenal. Last time I checked, B was not above A, but we'll
what
keep
website
going.
are you looking at?
This is the PremierLeague.com.
Premier League. You need to sort yourselves out.
Yeah.
Right. Let's start with Scotty Parker.
Scott Parker. Right. So,
Lost 4-0 at the weekend.
yes, but that was against Man City, and there was away. Obviously, he's done quite well to get Bournemouth back in the Prem.
He's charismatic. He's good looking. He's got good hair. He's got good dress sense.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
I'm
thinking elite level.
No, his appearances doesn't really matter. It's about their managing ability. I don't think he's been in the Prem that much to judge.
No, he had Fulham a couple of years ago,
and he did very poorly with them, didn't he?
I don't know. Obviously, they went down, but I think they played some really good football. They beat us at Anfield. It was pretty depressing. They played some really good football in the Championship. I think he's a good coach. I think
they beat Villa on the opening day, didn't they? They beat them 2-0. So he's got a win under his belt really for Bournemouth.
I think
good win as well.
It is a good win. I think he's got potential. I think he's got a lot of potential. I don't think he's Championship.
No, I think he's probably
forgotten the third tier already.
He's probably mid-table. I don't think I can.
No, it might be punching. we might need another tier. I think.
Yeah.
Mid-table then. I'd say mid-table.
Third tier. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully there'll be a graft somewhere that we can try and put this.
No, I'm not going to edit this, am I? Right, so Scott Parker, mid-table, which I think is pretty decent.
Next we've got Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, Dan.
Well, you might as well take this.
So, I obviously love Arteta, but he did finish 8th in the first season, but he did take over halfway through, and that was under an Emery squad.
Won an FA Cup.
He did win an FA Cup in that same
Community
season.
Shield, beat us on pens.
Yeah, I think he's a very good manager. But clearly he hasn't proven it yet at an elite level, so I couldn't put him there. He obviously finished 5th last year, just missing out by a few points to Tottenham. But obviously, I think between Conte and Arteta, then Conte's obviously got the more the nous about it. That is a word, right? Nous. Yeah?
Yes, of course it is.
Right. I think he's very good a man manager. He gets the best out of his players, Arteta.
Unless it's Aubameyang.
Look, you can't control a madman who just doesn't want to turn up to training. I think he dealt with that situation very well. I think he dealt with it very professionally. He just said, look, I've got these guidelines. If you don't stick to them, then you're out the club. So that's what he did to Aubameyang, because clearly he just wanted someone to be punctual. You want your captain to lead, and you don't want him to sort of, upset the younger players or give them any bad sort of, So I think he did very well there. On the pitch, I think we're playing some very good football, especially this season.
Yeah, doing really well.
You can see he's moulded himself over Pep. You can see he's very similar. That it's very sort of fluid football. Everyone on the pitch knows their role. We've got sort of the left back and the right back, doing sort of the right wing back situation. Obviously, the front three, he just wants them similar to you, closing everyone down.
Yeah.
Until he gets us into the top 4, I would put him as a decent manager. But I think it's too early now to put a lead, considering he's only been 2.5 years in the job. But he's clearly done it very well under Pep, winning City a load of stuff as a system. But yeah, I'm very happy with him. How are you feeling on the situation at the moment?
Well, I'm going to have to apologise, aren't I? 2 years ago or whenever it was when we started this podcast, I said he was rubbish. I didn't get it. I didn't understand why Arsenal would go for someone. It was his first job in management. I do think maybe if he'd been at another club, he would have been sacked a couple of times at this point. But fair play to Arsenal, they have stuck by him. And you are reaping the rewards now.
Yes.
You are playing some of the best football in the league. I know maybe it sounds a little bit silly, we've only seen 2 games, but Arsenal do look a real force to be reckoned with. I'd say Arsenal have backed him. They didn't necessarily back Wenger. I don't think they overly backed Emery. So it's, he has been fortunate in the sense where I think he has been backed and he has been given time. But yeah, I must admit I was very wrong. I think you can see a very, very good coach, which is a bit unfortunate because I don't want to see Arsenal back playing good football. So yeah, I put him second tier.
Second tier,
but
yeah. I don't reach third.
I think he's got the makings of becoming a
do you reckon if he gets really good at Arsenal, do you reckon his loyalty, do you reckon he would go off to someone like a City if Pep leaves, or someone like a Liverpool? Or
I don't know, to be honest. I suppose if he
seems
Arsenal,
to love Arsenal.
He does love Arsenal, and I suppose if he was the one who rebuilt Arsenal almost from the ground up, and you start winning titles again, he might want to stay, for a long time. So it's a bit like maybe Jurgen Klopp. He's always flirting with leaving, and then he signs a new deal, and then it's sort of, I wouldn't be surprised if in 4 years' time he goes, oh yeah, I'll sign another extension. It just. If you're happy, then...
And also, have you seen the Arsenal All or Nothing documentary or not?
I've seen the You'll Never Walk Alone clip, and that made me laugh. But I will say what I liked. I know people mocked Arteta for that, but what I would say, it was very creative, and it was good to see managers actually try and do something. And look, we struggled against you in that game. It was only until Arteta was a bit of a prat and tried to have a fight with Klopp in front of the fans. That's when we suddenly rose up. If he didn't do that, I think you might have nicked a point or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. He comes across very sort of, I don't know. He's like a madman. I mean,
he's bonkers.
He's tall.
But yeah, no, I
talks about when he was younger and everything. He just brings up sort of strange scenarios where he compares a night out to being on the football pitch where he wants everyone to be together, and he just draws pictures of a heart and a brain with hands and them hugging each other. He's absolutely crazy, but it seems to get to the players, and the players are listening. They're engaged.
I think it's better to have someone like that who's a bit, like I said, he's got he's got charisma, isn't he? He's exciting when very few people, when they walk into a room, Arteta grabs you, and it was like that when Klopp first came to Liverpool, and it still is now. But when Klopp first came in as a fan and probably as a player, you're like, oh wow, you want to play for this guy, and it's a bit like when I do teaching and stuff like that. When you go into a classroom, the best teachers for me are that mixture. Yeah, they've got that authority. There's someone that you're you don't want to piss them off, but equally, it's someone who's exciting and can get you going, and Arteta has that, and I think that's natural. I think Klopp has it. I think Pep has it. Ferguson had it. I'm not comparing, obviously, Arteta to Ferguson or anything like that. But I can see those eyebrows.
Sounds like it.
But it's one of those things. I think where you have it or you don't. So
you don't want to be like a pushover if you're a manager, and because I mean, he could easily have just bowed down to Aubameyang and said, yeah, you can turn up late to training if you want to, and then he would have been a pushover. No one would have respected him. When you're a manager, you have to stamp your authority early, which he did quite early on.
He did, yeah.
I mean, he even admitted, he said that he was really glad when Aubameyang signed the extension. He was pushing for that to happen, but then obviously he could see the relationship falling apart, and he thought, look, I'd better just stomp it out now because that could have gone bad. And I think we did see when Aubameyang did leave that we did actually play. Even though we were lacking goals, we did get some good results at the end of the season. So.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we'll move on now.
From an Arsenal legend to a Liverpool legend. But managing Aston Villa, Dan. So we've got Steven Gerrard next. Right,
I'm not sure.
They finished 14th. They finished quite low.
They had a really poor end to the season.
Yeah.
When he first came in, I was really impressed.
Yes.
I know teams usually have that sort of bounce when a new manager comes in, and I think Dean Smith had run his course.
Yeah.
Big fan of Dean Smith, but it was Dean Smith, wasn't it? Complete nonsense. So Gerrard, I think did really, really well with Rangers. He came in with that aggression, that intensity at Villa that I think was needed. I remember one of his first games, or maybe been there for maybe a month or two at that point. He came to Anfield. We got, I think, a 1-0 win. It had to be a penalty. They were one of the toughest teams that we played at Anfield last season. So I think there's there's a lot of good things there. I think he knows how to organise the defence. I think he himself is incredibly intense as a man. I think his teams are at their best when they are intense. You look at Rangers, very physical, strong side. I think Villa, when they've been at their best under him, they're aggressive. Big fan of Ramsey in midfield. Yeah, and with the Gerrard factor, you're going to get some exciting signings, i.e.
Coutinho, there's no way they would have got him. Do you reckon if he wasn't the manager? Surely that would have been
I wouldn't have thought so. But with that, I don't know what his man management is like. He said
sort of stripped Tyrone Mings, didn't he, recently of captaincy and then dropped him for the game. So clearly,
but obviously they've now got another sort of big injury problem at centre back, so they're going to probably have to bring him back in. He seems like a guy who it's I've seen him for most of my life at Liverpool. It does seeing him as a captain. He could be quite intense, could be a bit aggressive. I don't think he would be the easiest person to get along with in the world. So I do wonder whether he's a little bit like that as a manager. I know very interestingly he tried to take aspects of each manager that he had of the best parts. So I think with Gerard Houllier, he was his favourite ever manager, and that's probably because he was so friendly. He was like a father figure. Okay. But his most successful manager, probably depressingly successful, because he only won like 2 trophies under old Don Rafa. But I think he takes in that sort of that tactical nous from Rafa. But I really don't know with Gerrard. You look at Villa, that the sort of up and down team.
Most people have got them for a top 10 finish this season, and I think with the squad they have, they should do it. And if they don't make top half of the table, then it would be a failing for Gerrard. But I don't know. I don't think. I think he's obviously better than Championships. I wouldn't put him in the bottom tier. Is he decent, or is he sort of mid-table? That's the thing.
I think he's between Championship and decent. For me. Yeah, he's still got a long way to go to prove himself. I think he did really well with Rangers. Yeah. But obviously, we know the Scottish League isn't as competitive as the Premier League. It doesn't have the money going into it for it to be anywhere near as competitive. But what was really impressive about him was winning the league title over Celtic, but also that their European campaign. I know they went even further last season, so you might look at that and say maybe it wasn't quite as good. But actually, what he did with them, those European nights, and he's got a lot of potential, definitely. And I think while he's manager of Villa, that maybe the transfers will be the most exciting. Because I think he will get bigger players in than a lot of other managers who would manage that type of club would. But he's got a long way to go to really prove himself. So I think mid-table, but I do think it could be flirting down.
A few more seasons and he could crawl up. So I don't agree with that. So
but I would say I wouldn't want him as Liverpool manager. Nowhere near. Yeah,
fair enough. Right then. So next we've got Thomas Frank at Brentford. Now, this has just been recorded just after a nice 4-0 win against Man United, so this won't sway our judgment. But I honestly do think Thomas Frank, he could be, considering what he's done for Brentford. Getting them obviously, they got 2 playoff finals, didn't they? They obviously lost one and then they won the other one to get promoted. And the fact that he's managed to do that is fantastic with a club, with financial. Like Brentford have, because they were always like mid-table, weren't they? Championship or even lower end, and he's just absolutely propelled them up. And even now, being in the Premier League, they did so well last season, didn't they? This season they seem to have carried on the way they do. They're just quite difficult to play against, aren't they? And he seems like quite an intense bloke, doesn't he? He's obviously on the touchline. He's very physical. He sort of gets the crowd behind the players, and he's very sort of like like someone orchestrating the crowd. So he could be a top one. But
I'm a big fan of him. I love a bit of Brentford. Really enjoy the way they play football. I was a little bit worried about them, I must admit, this season. I know it's only 2 games.
Sort of second season syndrome.
I thought the loss of Christian Eriksen, because I thought they started the season last year brilliantly, obviously wiping the floor with your lot, and then I thought they dropped off sort of halfway through, and I thought had a couple of really poor results and performances, and they don't have the biggest squad in the world. And Christian Eriksen, I thought, really changed things for them. So losing him, and I thought with some of the I didn't see anyone sort of coming in to replace that, so I did worry about them. But I think the signing of Damsgaard is really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the team. He was heavily linked with Liverpool a while ago. I think he's a talented player. It was like what we were saying about Arteta. I think, you've got it or you don't. He's so full of charisma.
Yeah.
Thomas Frank, you see him on the touchline. You see him in interviews. He's kind of got that quirky, he's surreal, isn't he? But he's a fantastic footballing coach. He knows the basics. He keeps it very, very simple, and he's just that type of personality that I think if you're a player, you would want to run and run and run for. He's got that like combination of like that authority, that intensity, but he's also a bit like a father figure. You get that, he reminds me a lot of Klopp in some ways, in just personality and stuff like that. So I wouldn't obviously put elite.
They could be good. I think with the players they've got, considering they're, you obviously got Ivan Toney, who is a top striker. But I think with the tools, what is given is obviously Brentford go for the sort of is it statistic route, weren't they, where they sort of find what players in the other lower leagues, different leagues in the country are good at, and they sort of do it like that. So I think with what he's given, he's done very well with them.
I would put him second tier.
Okay.
I think I know Brentford aren't necessarily. You probably wouldn't put them as a team that might finish mid-table. I don't know. You might sort of say still at this point, second season, the aim would be just to survive. But I think as a manager, if he was to say in charge of maybe a team that had a little bit more quality or a little bit more money, I think he would be very, very decent.
I think the same goes with his next manager as well, which was Graham Potter at Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah,
I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think he's amazing. Obviously, we haven't seen Ten Hag enough, but I've been saying for ages.
What's him to United?
Well, I think if Manchester, even your lot, when you were struggling and there was talk of getting Arteta out, obviously you're glad you didn't now. But I do think a Graham Potter could
come in and stabilise it.
And manage a team like Manchester. Look at the quality that Man United have got, and look, we'll get on to Ten Hag later. We obviously haven't seen enough of him, but I think a Graham Potter, a big club where he's backed. Brighton play some of the best football in the league.
Play good.
And what I love about
Welbeck up top as well.
With Welbeck, when he's fit, he's a bit of a monster for them. And what I really like about Graham Potter is that Brighton don't always just play the same way. They really swap their formations, and it's something I'm heavily critical of Klopp for, where I think we play one way.
But he seems to adapt to different teams.
He adapts, and if he's still at Brighton in 4 years' time, and when Klopp, if he does leave, genuinely, I'm a huge fan of this guy. So he's not elite yet, because obviously because you can't be elite really without winning stuff. But I would say he's
decent.
He's more than decent, but decent is the second best tier.
He's flirting
high
with these.
He is high up, and big fan of Brighton, and I really hope. I'd love to see a team like Brighton and Palace. Ironic because big rivals. I'd love to see them challenging for Europa League. Imagine Selhurst Park on a European night.
Do you think if Brighton had another manager that wasn't Graham Potter, they would be where they are? Or do you reckon they'd be much lower?
I think they've got quality players. But again, I think he's got it. And he is that manager that those Brighton players clearly love and want to play for. And I think he's a manager and he's a coach that players know that they're going to improve on. So someone like Basuma, he's got a move to a bigger club. And I know that's a bit insulting to Brighton, but I think Brighton might become quite an attractive club for very talented players.
For development. And
for development. If you go to Brighton and go, right, I might stay for 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Like an Ajax.
And then I might sort of move on. I know that's you don't want to look at it like that, but... I think he could have that reputation. Be very interesting to see if he does move on from Brighton. Obviously, I hope he doesn't, but where he would go. But I'd put him. I'd put him second tier.
Same. I agree with that. We've agreed with everything so far.
Bit of a boring podcast, isn't it? We need some
Thomas
confrontation.
Tuchel now. So he's obviously won the Champions League with Chelsea. Came in after Frank Lampard. It's a strange one because I don't really know where Chelsea are at the moment. They're clearly, after watching that Tottenham game, they obviously drew. But Chelsea was so much better than Tottenham, which was surprising, the difference in quality. I don't know. He obviously didn't handle the Lukaku thing. Lukaku obviously went.
He's a big personality,
He was a big personality.
But I mean, Thomas Tuchel is
big.
No,
he is. Yeah. I mean, you can see at the end of the game against Conte where he just took his hand off in that handshake. I mean, he's got but obviously tactically he seems to know what he's doing. But I don't know, because every time we play Chelsea, we always seem to beat them. So I mean, it clearly can't be that good. And
where would you put him? If I say what tier?
Well, he's not.
He's not going to be bottom 2, is he?
No, he's not bottom 2. And I wouldn't think he's mid-table. I think he would be just the same decent, but I won't say he's elite.
You wouldn't say he's elite.
No.
For me, elite. One of the best managers in world football. I think he's
incredible. Because of his Dortmund days and everything.
No, I think he's incredible. I think he's one of the best managers in world football. I think he could be a little bit difficult. But I think that goes into actually some of his positives, because he's incredibly demanding to owners. He will only put up with the best, similar to Conte. I know I keep linking it back to Jurgen Klopp, obviously it's my team, but all managers have weaknesses. And I would say that Jurgen Klopp's biggest weakness is perhaps he's too loyal or doesn't demand enough. So, if Thomas Tuchel was manager of Liverpool, there'd be no way we'd be having a midfield of Milner and still putting up with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita, injury problems. He would be ruthless. He would say, I want Bellingham and I want him now. Same with Conte, and he would probably get it. Yeah. Whereas Klopp is like,
we'll wait
I'll wait another year.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Tuchel is sensational as a manager. We played them 4 times last season. We drew every single game. Obviously, we won 2 trophies against them, which was great.
Penalties,
but
1v1.
I've never seen a manager, barring probably Ancelotti, that Klopp has struggled so much against. And I'll say even with Pep, because Klopp has quite a good record against Pep. I know probably in recent seasons, City have really outdone us in those sort of 1v1 games, annoyingly. But those games always feel quite, end to end. Even I do feel in the games against Chelsea, whenever we play them, the Chelsea are more often than not the better team, and we rely on an individual moment of brilliance or a penalty shootout. I think he's one of the best managers in world football, and I fancy a title charge from them this season. Well, look, they're buying everyone, aren't they? They're going on a bit of a madness, and
yes,
I do.
They're clearly buying young as well now, aren't they? So they're looking for the future.
Yeah.
No,
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he would be probably high-end, decent. I wouldn't put him elite, though, just because he hasn't won the Premier League yet. But obviously winning the Champions League is still pretty impressive, with that Chelsea squad that he had as well. And also
very impressive.
Carrying on from what Frank Lampard left as well.
Exactly. Guardiola that night. I believe that he's probably the best. Maybe I'd be a bit wrong here, but I think for me, he's the best manager in world football in closing off the gaps. Yeah. He makes you play in ways that you don't want to play. And I think, this is a weird quote now, because it's going to be from cricket. I do love a bit of cricket. Shane Warne, when he was still alive, he used to say, greatest bowler ever, and he used to say, when I bowl the ball, what I want to do is really simple. I want to make the batsman do what he doesn't want to do. And Thomas Tuchel, for me, does that in football. He makes the opposition do what they don't want to do when he's at his best.
Yeah.
He closes off the gaps, and he makes brilliant teams like that Liverpool team, like that Man City team, at times play in ways that you don't want them to. And he obviously nearly had that fantastic comeback against Real Madrid.
That's true. He did.
Yeah, for me, genuinely elite.
So our first elite one. Okay, that's fair enough.
Who's next?
An elite midfielder's next, Dan. Patrick Vieira at Crystal Palace. So I think he's done a fantastic job.
Don't you talk to me about bloody Crystal Palace. I've had enough of them.
Obviously, they got a draw, didn't they, this weekend against Liverpool. But I don't think that was necessarily Patrick Vieira's doing it. I mean, it might have been a bit of Liverpool's shortcomings.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
Look. But he's obviously a very good manager.
Vieira did really, really well. And actually, a little bit like with Graham Potter, I think he's very flexible. I think, maybe I'm wrong, because obviously I don't watch Palace week in, week out. But whenever I see them, they seem to be a little bit more possession-based football, certainly compared to when they were under Hodgson. But he's got that ability as a manager to go, look, we're going away to home. We're going to Anfield. We're going to sit back. We're going to, close off the gaps. We're going to play the low block. We're going to hit teams on the counter-attack. He's got that flexibility. He's not championship at best. He's obviously not elite yet. I'd say mid-table.
You reckon mid-table?
Mid-table,
but
I think only positives for me for Vieira.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's 25 minutes nearly, Chris.
We
We might have to go quicker.
Let's go. Right, Lampard shit. No.
What are you saying for Vieira? I'm saying
I would say mid-table, the third one down.
third tier, but I think
Yeah.
anyway it's going up. Palace are a good team.
Yeah, he's still quite young in the scheme of things. So Frank Lampard, Everton. So clearly
Championship at best.
You reckon Championship at best? Yeah, I mean from what we saw.
I don't know. I think he's got a lot to prove. I think maybe out of all the managers,
it did get Chelsea top 4, but then I suppose that's not really a success, was it?
Well, he wasn't allowed to buy anyone. Maybe a bit harsh. Like, he did pretty well with Derby, didn't he? And I just think it ended terribly at Chelsea. I think Everton could be in real trouble this season. Again, it's probably not entirely on him. They've sold Richarlison.
Yeah.
Looks like they could be selling Gordon.
And Dele Alli as well.
And Dele Alli, well, it doesn't matter about that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin out for a few months. So I do feel for him. It'll be interesting to see what he could do, like a fully fit Calvert-Lewin.
It doesn't seem like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like he's got authority though. He seems like, I don't know, I could be a pushover in the
I don't know, because when he first took over Chelsea, he had all those really strict rules, didn't he?
Yeah.
That list came out and, you'd be fined thousands of pounds per minute you're late and stuff like that. But I don't know, I think with Lampard, I can see a manager who wants to play attacking offensive football, but he doesn't have the tools to do it at Everton.
No. Is he just sort of one, if they're losing the game, would he have the sort of tactical knowledge to turn the game around? So I don't think he does. I wouldn't say...
I don't think he does. I think, Everton got out of relegation last year, I think purely because of the fans.
Yeah,
the fans really got together. They made an incredibly intense atmosphere. And look, I don't want to take anything away from Lampard, but, Goodison Park isn't going to be like that week in, week out. And it certainly won't be like that, at the start of the season if they play shocking football. I like Lampard. I tend not to like Everton managers, being a fan, but he is likeable. But I do think, with the way that the Chelsea job ended, if he gets sacked from Everton or if they get relegated or if they have another poor season, I think you do start to think Championship at best.
Yeah.
I think he's capable of more, but right now I'm putting him in the bottom tier. Everton fans.
I'll do that as well.
Damn right you will.
Marco Silva now. Oh, hello, Eddie.
Marco Silva.
He's obviously been there before, hasn't he? He's been in the Prem before. He got was it Watford?
He managed. He certainly managed Everton. Didn't he?
Of course, yeah.
And he did brilliantly first game of the season with Fulham. Against Liverpool. Had a fantastic season in the Championship. I don't really know enough about Marco Silva to judge, so I'm going to put between third and fourth tier. I think obviously he's better than Championship, but it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in the Premier League.
I think he went wrong with him, didn't it, at Everton? I think he did really well. I think it was like a Watford or some of those lower clubs that just got up, and he got a big move to Everton, and then clearly that job seemed to be too much for him or above him. So
he reminded me of what's his face? He used to manage Everton. I think he's still the Belgian manager.
Oh, Roberto Martinez.
Roberto Martinez. He reminded me of him when he was at Everton. When Everton wanted to play really attacking, sexy football. And he worked for a little while and then it quickly fell apart.
Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah. So we'll put him
up 3.5 tier.
I'm going to put him in the bottom tier.
Oh, okay.
There's really more people propping up the table here. Jesse Marsh at Leeds. So
mid-table.
Well, yeah. He started off quite well. I mean, I thought Leeds would be in trouble this year. So, but I think he's got
more about him than Bielsa. I was not a fan of Bielsa at all. I would have put him bottom.
Would you?
Yeah, I think he plays. I think he plays incredible football, but when you keep losing to a team that's got fucking Scott McTominay 5-6-0 in it every single time, and he turns into prime Zidane,
there's something wrong.
Look, Bielsa was brilliant. He obviously was, but you can't rely on him. As for old Jesse, haven't seen enough of him really I didn't watch the MLS.
Yeah.
So from what I've seen, I think that they're harder to beat. I'd say again between mid-table and
we'll put them sort of mid-table, so third tier. Right now, you know a lot about this bloke.
Who's next?
Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, Dan.
Championship at best. Championship.
See, I do think he is a myth. I mean, obviously at Liverpool, he had that wonderful striking of Sterling, Sturridge, Suarez.
Yeah.
And at Leicester, he's got a very good team, but they just always seem to fall short. They obviously won the FA Cup, which is a success for them, I'd say. But, I mean, in a one-off competition games like that, it could be anyone's. I mean, you know, when Wigan win it, Leicester City can win it. So, I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't put him bottom tier. I'd probably put him the sort of third one up, just because. But with the resources he's got and a good Leicester side, he should be doing much better than he did. And especially not winning the Conference League as well, which was quite surprising last year. They should have won that.
I'll put him fifth tier. No,
he likes good character.
That was the worst Brendan Rodgers impression I've ever heard. What even nationality was that?
No, he's not Northern Irish.
Christ. Right, if you've made it to this part of the podcast, I apologise. I know what you mean. Yeah, he's a bit of a myth, and we said a couple of years ago that Leicester were sort of becoming this team that was sort of bottling top four on the final day. They did that multiple times, didn't they?
Yeah.
I watched him at Liverpool and I hated him. Like, you know, he was just one of even when Liverpool were playing well, there was something about him that I thought was slimy, just distrustful. I just didn't. I can't bear it. Just both. You know, he left his wife when he was Liverpool manager. I mean, it's got nothing to do with this, but you know, it's just slimy bugger. But you know, obviously, I don't know their personal reasons. You know, I can't judge. But as a manager, no, I genuinely, I think he will always fall short. I know there's problems at Leicester. It looks like Fofana, 80 bloody million or more.
Again, he's Harry Maguire as well.
I mean, they're good in the transfer market, Leicester, at selling people. It looks like, Maddison could be going to Newcastle. Tillemans might be going to your mob. So, Leicester can't spend money. So I do feel for Rodgers. But I think he made his name as like a youth team coach. So he might have to go back to that, if Leicester are in a position where they can't spend. But look, he is talented. He is very, very talented. But I don't think there's been enough progression from what I expected since he's sort of been at, he did really well at Celtic. Okay, it was a one-team league. Realistically, he didn't do well in Europe when he was with them.
Swansea as well, wasn't he?
He made his name at Swansea. He was brilliant at Swansea. He got his. He got the opportunity to go to Liverpool. Look, to be fair, he did pretty well for a while. But after Suarez left, it fell so bad. But to the point where you think, God, you were so reliant on one player. And tactically, he was all over the place. It was so confusing game after game. Formations completely changed. There was no consistency, and it screamed him out. Not like Graham Potter, where like you go, okay, he's analysed the opposition and he's changing for that. Brendan Rodgers, it was just like a pick and mix. Right, we're going to do this week, and it made no bloody sense. And then we'd lose about 3-4-0 to someone, and then the next week it'd be a completely different 11. And he went and obviously we had a really bad time after Suarez. We were terrible in Europe, whether it was Champions League or Europa League under him. That record continued at Celtic. He was terrible in Europe for them. And again for Leicester, Leicester are shocking. They've been shocking in Europe under him. They've had opportunity like the Conference League, like you say. I wouldn't expect Leicester to necessarily win it, but I would have thought, they might have done a little bit better. I don't know. I know obviously they did get a bit further on in the competition. They lost to Jose Mourinho, who is the master of European games. To be fair, but I don't know. I do feel. Look, he's not elite. He's obviously not Championship at best.
I think most people would put him in decent, and I think just your hatred for him would just move him.
Look, I'll put him decent. I'll put him decent because I think he's capable of more. And look, to be fair, Leicester had a really bad season last year in terms of injuries, but they still finished 8th.
Yeah,
so true. It wasn't that bad. He is good. I can't stand him. Move on.
Jurgen Klopp down at Liverpool.
Fucking terrible. I hate this man. No. Look, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. Elite. Of course he's elite. He came into a club that had some of Christian Benteke up top, and he sort of took him to Champions League glory, Premier League glory. We won the domestic double last year. Like I said earlier, every manager has their issues. I do think that Jurgen Klopp isn't demanding enough in the transfer market. I also think.
But do you think the Liverpool board just trust Klopp to get it done on the pitch?
I just think they're just cheap fucks, to be perfectly honest. They don't want to spend any money.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that I've got my inside sources, and that there's issues inside the club. There's little theories, where FSG just aren't funding things, and just issues are happening. Again, I don't know if that's true, but it does feel like every single season we go into a Premier League campaign underprepared. we shouldn't have won the Premier League title after only signing Adrian. And people look at that as like, oh my God, aren't we amazing? My fear is it's turning into a bit of a fluke. And what I don't want is we look back on Klopp in 6-7 years' time as a Liverpool fan and go, God, how did we not win more? Jurgen Klopp as manager, Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, when we had Mane, all of these quality players.
It's just so unfortunate for you that City exists.
No, I know, but I do think we could do more. I do think that FSG could do more in the transfer market. I also think that Klopp could perhaps be a little bit more flexible tactically. I thought the game against Palace was a prime example. I won't talk about it now in detail. I'll do a video tomorrow because I'm still fuming nearly 4 days later. But why you have to play a high line every single game? Nat Phillips, it just slower than my nan and she's dead. So, it's she isn't. That was a really horrible joke.
She's unsubscribed.
But like, why are you going to a game like that up against Zaha, Eze, Elise, some of the quickest players in the league, and you've got someone. Yeah. So I felt so sorry for Nat Phillips. Anyway,
he seems like a nice bloke as well, Klopp. In his interviews as well,
he gets a bit livid though from time to time, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he can throw a strop. He can be uncomfortable to watch, even as a fan. But look, he is elite. What he's done is incredible. I just want more. I want him to win more. But that's what I want. You saying elite?
Oh yeah, this would be my first elite. I think there'd be only 3 potential elite managers in this league.
Okay.
Right.
Who next?
So next one is Pep Guardiola, Dan.
Elite.
Talk about it or not?
I think he's probably the best manager of this generation, isn't he?
Was he elite because of Arteta, or do you reckon he was elite? Arteta,
yeah, I do actually. Yeah, after watching Arteta, I think Arsenal are playing better football than City at the moment. So, it's quite funny because when I'm like scrolling on YouTube on my phone, you get those little shorts that come up. It's a bit weird, isn't it? The videos, not and you've got videos pop up of like the Champions League final with like Barcelona and Man United. How good that Man United team were, and you've got the midfield of Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, and all that. And they don't get near them, and that prime Guardiola football, I don't think we'll see anything like it again for quite a while.
But would you say it's still a failing if Man City don't win the Champions League, though?
Realistically, no.
No?
I know like people like to throw it at him, but not while Carlo Ancelotti's still alive. He raises an eyebrow, you can't win the bloody thing. Honestly, like the Real Madrid were awful. I've never seen a team so bad in games, and then just
they win it.
He's just like. And and Benzema just scores 4 goals in 30 seconds. I've never seen anything like this. So
okay.
Obviously I said earlier, all managers have weaknesses. I think with Pep is overthinking. That's his biggest weakness. You were here, weren't you, when they lost to Lyon?
Yeah.
Fantastic night. But it's hard to blame him when Sterling's missing open goals. But I think Champions League final, Foden was world class on the left hand side. He puts him in a midfield 3. Just silly things like that.
Sometimes it is.
But elite, best manager of the generation.
Okay. So from one board manager to another, Dan.
To Fraudiola now.
So he's obviously only had two Premier League games.
It's a shocking stuff. But I can smell it. I can smell a 3-1 victory on Monday night for Man United.
He said
bloody long balls in the name of this podcast up to Sancho and bloody Rashford. Obviously, stop saving the kids.
Obviously, they had a very good pre-season, didn't they, Man United? And everyone thought they were back. Yeah. But then clearly, we've seen outfought by Potter at the first game of the season, and then obviously absolutely smashed by Brentford.
2 elite managers, though.
To be fair, we have put them both in the... Well, this is going to be hard to...
Can't really judge him.
Can't really judge him so far. I mean, we could...
You could look
put
at what
Championship at best, just for the kick of things, because obviously
at
the moment he's bottom. Are they bottom of the table?
They are bottom. No, I think they are.
They are bottom. Good.
It's a bit of a relegation scrap on Monday between Liverpool and United.
But look, they could. I mean, we lost our first 3 games last season, and then we finished 5th. So I mean, Man United could do the same.
Yeah, United have got quality, haven't they? This is the thing where I've looked at for a number of years and gone, like, how are they so consistently poor under different managers with the quality that they've got?
I just don't know. But then you think that people are saying that maybe Mourinho and Solskjaer getting this United team second is actually a massive achievement because they're they're a group of individuals, aren't they? The United team. I can't see them as an actual. They're not doing like a group of like like an actual team.
It's sort of like I know what you mean because
they don't seem to gel together. It's sort of like you're on FIFA and you just buy these players just because they fit in the right.
But
position,
the same players keep playing. Fred and McTominay.
Yeah.
How many years have people? These poor United fans stop playing them. And you've had multiple managers I'm going to keep doing it. And you've got Van der Beek on the bench.
Yeah.
50 million that they paid for him.
Yeah.
So much excitement, and obviously with Ten Hag coming in, he was the one who made him really. So the idea of him and Frankie De Jong.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what's going on with old Frankie, but
Yeah.
Van der Beek does not even get a minute yet of Premier League football this season. He might have come on as a sub, but very, very strange, very weird. It does seem to be like it's a club where it's run by the people, behind the scenes.
I don't think
in terms of tiers, he's no Big Sam.
No, he's not Big Sam. He's Big Sam. I mean, I wouldn't
okay, second best manager of a generation. He never made JJ Okocha. Bloody banging player. So I don't know. Look, Championship at best, mid-table.
Yeah, he could go in any of them.
It's either mid-table or decent. Yeah. I will optimistically go decent. I think there is a very, very good manager in there, but I think he has to adapt to the Premier League very quickly. The physicality that we've seen in the last two games, I think United have actually played okay-ish football from time to time when they've got on the ball. When they were 4-0 down in the second half,
they tried.
But you can see the patterns of play. Where they're struggling at is the physicality. When you've got Warwick Davis as centre back, it's fucking defensive podcast. This, but
Yeah, no, obviously you're going to struggle if you've got him marking Tony or it's a big striker.
Welbeck.
Or Welbeck, yeah.
Pace and speed.
And he's still got Maguire. Why did they play Maguire?
I don't think Maguire's that bad. Controversial. That's the breaking news on Big Sam's long balls. I don't think he's that bad. I don't.
Right, moving on.
Right. I mean, they've got to play Varane.
Yes.
They will play Varane against us. Fucking bastards.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll be interesting to see how he sorts this Ronaldo situation out as well. Because...
I'm bored of him.
I'm bored of him.
How many more we got?
We've got a few. We've got Eddie Howe, which is an interesting one, Eddie Howe. Obviously had a very good time at Bournemouth. Now he's at Newcastle and he's completely changed that team around from that dire Steve Bruce. Yeah. He moved Joe Linton back a bit into the centre and now he's an absolute genius, wasn't he?
I'd sign him.
Oh, Joe Linton?
Mate, I'd put him in the Liverpool midfield. I can't watch Milner again. Can't do it. I can't, Chris. Just sack Klopp and bring in Steve Bruce and kill me already.
Steve Bruce? Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe. Is he elite? I mean...
I'm putting him second tier.
I think second tier would be wise.
Yeah.
I don't think he's up there. He hasn't obviously... Klopp.
I don't think you could put him...
but he's doing a fantastic job at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Considering they were guaranteed pretty much to go down last year and he sort of...
Well, they were gone. They were goners. Yeah. With old...
Smart signings as well they're doing. Sort of bringing in not
they
haven't, big names.
They haven't gone out and bought a Neymar, for example.
Or an Mbappe.
Yeah.
They're just buying these players.
But it'll be interesting to see, if he's there maybe in 2-3 years' time. Because I'd imagine, will they be getting European football? Will they be targeting bigger players? It'll be interesting to see as the expectation grows at Newcastle, and it will grow quickly. Can he fulfil that? But I'm going to put decent. I think he's got the makings of being a world class. I thought when he was at Bournemouth, I thought he a little bit Brendan Rodgers like. I thought really
he played nice football.
Played beautiful, exciting football, but physically, I used to love playing Bournemouth because it would be a 4-0 win every single season. Really easy game. They were physically they were a little bit like the worst of Arsenal under Wenger. Easy on the eyes, and then we're not up for a physical fight. But actually, a little bit like Arteta. He's gone into Newcastle. Okay, they play better football, but I think the really interesting thing for me is they're more up for it. They're more. Yeah. They look like a physically strong side. And I didn't think Eddie Howe would be that type of manager.
To glue it all together, they look like a proper team now, don't they? All right, then. Steve Cooper, Dan, the Nottingham Forest man.
This man you don't like, isn't it, Chris?
So we started off at sexy Scott Parker, and now we've ended... Did I say that on the podcast? And now we've ended up at Steve Cooper now. They obviously got a win against West Ham, but it's probably the most jammy win of the season, didn't they? They hit the crossbar twice,
penalty saved.
It was all West Ham. But
sorry, could we go back to the sexy Scott Parker?
No,
what was the comparison there?
Just we've gone from one extreme to the other now. We've gone. Steve Cooper, yeah. I mean, we talked about it in another podcast, but as a manager. If you're an opposition fan and you look across and you see that man on the pitch,
we're on rough territory here, Chris. We're leaving ourselves very exposed to a bit of abuse. I know what you mean though. Yeah. Mike Myers is out in the new Halloween film and Steve Cooper's in, so. But anyway, in terms
of the manager,
he's not elite, obviously.
No. But he took Forest. No one was talking about Forest going up last season.
But they were going down.
Yeah, and he's come in there. He got, was it Swansea or someone else to a playoff final the year before. So he's clearly a really good manager in the Championship as well.
He was fantastic in the FA Cup against Premier League opposition.
They beat us. Obviously,
they battered Leicester. They spanked them. They did. And they should have beaten us.
So they had a very good run. And he's obviously, he's clearly a good manager. But he's obviously hasn't been in the Prem before, so it's quite hard to judge him on.
I'm going to put him third tier. I think he's proven himself in the Championship. I think he's proven himself to be too good. Forest have been mental this transfer. Every single day they're signing someone.
Hassan Awar?
Hassan Awar, you were desperate for him, weren't you, for Arsenal? I don't know what's happened to that man. But
they've got some good signings.
They signed Nico Williams from Liverpool, who I'm really sad to see him go. Actually, I think he's a really talented player. So.
I think both predicted him for us to be safe as well this season, haven't we? So
we haven't done predictions, have we?
Have we not? Well, then.
in
my mind, but I was talking about.
I'm sitting there chatting to myself.
Yeah.
I think mid-table. I think he could lead Forest to a couple of mid-table finishes, and then with the players they sign, they might achieve more. But it would be pretty poor if they went down. With the squad they're building and the money. But
I would not miss not seeing him though. So
I hope with all my heart he becomes a new Arsenal manager, Chris, one day.
Have him on my wall.
Have him on your wall. Sorry, Mr. Cooper. Right, let's move on. Ralph.
He likes a good 9-0 back. He gets thrashed, doesn't he? This bloke just gets absolutely battered all the time.
I'm sure he doesn't like it. He doesn't sit in that dressing room. I'll tell you what, lads. What I'd love is a bloody lovely 9-0 defeat. He cried when he beat Klopp.
Did he? I don't know. I don't rate him at all.
Ooh.
I don't rate him. I know there's
elite.
Southampton fans, I'm sorry, but your club's just a nothing club.
Here we go. Right, Chris, here's the microphone. Here's your moment. What have you got?
I always just forget about Southampton. Every time someone tells me to remember, I just completely blank them. I can't remember. They had Broja last year. That stood out. But then other than that, I can't tell you what the hell they were doing or where they finished.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I think they're a team that sort of is...
But I don't know, is that a good thing that they just sort of go unrecognised?
James Ward-Prowse to Liverpool, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course they got Ward-Prowse. I don't rate... he gets thrashed too easily. When he's losing, he seems to just lose... And I don't.
All right, Michael Owen. When he's losing, he just.
And when they win, they win, but only by like 1 or 2 goals. So,
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
I can't remember who was the manager before him. I can't remember. Southampton. I just need to blame them from my mind. Probably because they beat us all the time. That's probably why. I was jealous secretly after those.
I think Southampton are a team that. I don't think have been backed brilliantly. I don't think they have that much money. And I think he's done a very good job with the fairly limited options that he has. I think Southampton, at their best, someone like a Kyle Walker-Peters, big fan of. But I thought Kyle Walker-Peters...
Hey, you're naming more Southampton players than I
can
remember. Name some
more. You're proving that you're just a fraud on this bloody podcast, aren't you?
Is Matt Letizia still there?
No, he started talking about aliens, didn't he? And it got a bit weird. That's the best thing about Southampton. I'm going to put him mid-table. I think, when Southampton are on it, I think they really missed Danny Ings. They're a good pressing team, I think, under him, when they get going. But, yeah, I know what you mean. You put a tenner on them losing 9-0 at some point in the season, don't you?
Yeah,
I'm going to say mid-table for Ralph and mid-table for Southampton. That's kind of where they sort of are. I don't see him as danger of going down. I don't really see him as European.
I'll put him there. I don't think he's Championship, is he? But
I don't know. You literally said you didn't rate him, and now.
I don't want so much hate from these Southampton fans in the comments. Just please don't abuse me.
Right, who next?
Conte.
Elite.
Yeah, he's the third one I was thinking that would be elite. It's so annoying. I think
bloody Tottenham. I
Mate,
don't hate Tottenham anymore.
Mate, I know. This first season that I felt threatened by Spurs going into the league.
Yeah.
You can actually feel them actually doing something.
They'll challenge.
They will challenge.
I think they'll finish above my lot, Liverpool.
Yeah,
I do.
I don't think they'll win the league. I think they'll probably put up a good fight. I mean, even in the way they lost to Chelsea, but not they lost to Chelsea, they drew to Chelsea, but they should have lost that game, and they're still getting these points from games they should be losing. I mean, Tottenham of old would not have done that, and it is scary that they got this elite manager, and he could easily have gone to United, and probably their fortunes would have changed completely, wouldn't they?
Look, United are a mess. So they're just taking the best.
Tottenham losing that game against United when it was pretty much that battle of whoever lost would have got that. That was the best loss they ever had because they got Antonio Conte from that.
Yeah,
game. And that was fantastic.
Conte is incredible. He's incredibly demanding in transfer window. Like I said earlier, he will get who he wants. Fair play to Daniel Levy, who most of the time. Turns around to any team. Poor Pochettino must be looking at it thinking, piss off. Jesus, Tottenham, I think, are going to be the most unlikable team this season.
Yeah, they got
I don't like Son. The controversy, everyone likes Son. I think he's a diving, cheating little prick. I genuinely do. I don't like him. He gets away with so much. And Harry Kane, I mean, he's done it again, that Harry Kane. Quoting another channel there.
But yeah,
Richarlison.
But I think he wants them to be unlikable.
Of course he does. He's horrible.
He's horrible.
He's wearing a wig as well, isn't he?
Mate, I've seen his hairline back in the day. Anyway, but yeah, it was pretty shocking. Yeah, he's obviously changed them from being soft to just being really unlikable. They got all these like Richarlison's horrible person, just people just unlikable. But they're going to get pens where they shouldn't get penalties. They're going to get points, aren't they? So.
Of course, he is elite. He is elite. And I think they'll challenge. I think it will be. I do think
because he's pretty much won everywhere he's gone. I think into Chelsea.
Yeah,
he's just a winner, isn't he?
He was brilliant at Euros 2016, wasn't he? With Italy. He is an elite level manager. I don't think it will end brilliantly. It will always end in tears with a manager like Conte. Like it.
I don't think he'll stay for. He won't stay. For long term.
Maybe two years, maybe 3 seasons maximum.
Yeah, be interesting to see.
But it will be interesting. But yeah, elite level.
Yeah, sadly, I don't.
David Moyes. Oh, what's that noise all about?
I don't know. This is God,
I'm uncomfortable sitting there, Chris.
Mate, almost an hour talking about managers. Bloody hell. David Moyes.
That's what happens when you turn 30. My legs are going.
Everton, United. Obviously, United's job was a bit too much, I think, for him at the time.
He shouldn't have been sacked. Controversial opinion. I don't.
They didn't give him time though. I think it's because Man United were so used to the good times, where as soon as they got the bad times, they just panicked and was like, "Well, got to get rid of."
Yeah, people sit here and they'll go, "Look, the football under Moyes was atrocious."
I did that for Fellaini, didn't they?
He's their best player.
Exactly, that's something wrong there.
But no, I think David Moyes, prime, 2007 Everton, and this Everton. And this West Ham team, rather, very, very similar. Lots of physicality, direct football, has the capability to switch it up and play, quick, counter-attacking football. Jared Bowen, top player, Antonio. They've brought in a couple of really quality players. I think he's, when he's in a club where they need to be underdogs, us against the world, brilliant. Maybe it didn't work at Manchester United because every single game that Manchester United go into, they're favourite. So that mentality doesn't work, but I think he's fantastic. Like, I know it hasn't worked at Man United. I know. Where did he go? He went abroad, didn't he? Was it Holland or?
No, he went to.
He went somewhere very, very short, and it did. Wherever he went, it didn't work. But I think at West Ham, he suits that type of club. I think he suits when he was at Everton. I don't think he will go beyond that. So I'm going to put.
Do you think he's in his prime now? Would you say? Would you think this is his best? Because he's best now than he was at Everton. I mean, as I don't know. It's hard to.
No. Just because I would say when he was at Everton, he was battling for Champions League, and he did get into top 4 at least once with Everton.
Yeah, it was always them on Villa, wasn't it? They were battling out.
Yeah. So, but there might be a bit more competition now.
And they did well in the Europa League, obviously last year. So
did really, really well. Yeah. I really wanted them to win, actually.
Yeah, unfortunately against Frankfurt, wasn't it?
But
so, bloody Creswell getting sent off him, and he can't.
But I'm going to put him decent.
Yeah, I reckon really, he's decent.
I think I would have loved to have seen West Ham in Champions League. I'd got a real soft spot for them, actually. Big fan, because it's good to see them doing well. Because I know when they went to the London Stadium, it was a real uproar with the fans.
You see what they were doing with the owners, weren't they? The West Ham fans. It was very toxic, but he's made them into.
And I knew someone, and him and all his friends. They'd been to Upton Park, every week almost for 30 odd years, and once it went there, they ripped up the season ticket. They gave it up because it felt so soulless. So actually, those West Ham fans who stuck with that, because I know it was a really tough time. I remember seeing on YouTube like West Ham fan channels and that. It's really difficult, but I like the club and I like David Moyes. I think it's a perfect fit. So I think decent.
Yeah, they could have a good season again if they keep Declan Rice, which they look like they might be. Then I'd put him in decent.
Right, last one now.
Final one. Cool. I know what old Bruno Lage at Wolves.
Having it large, as old Kevin and Perry would say. It's a bit of an old reference, that, isn't it? It's kids today will be like, who's that? You old man, shut up. Kevin and Perry. Banging show and film. Give it a watch. Give it a watch. Bruno. You don't know, do you?
No, man, I don't know much about Wolves, to be fair. Like Southampton, sort of... They go past me.
Wolves are a team.
They started. I remember them having a really good season last season, and then they just fell off completely.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was anything to do.
I think the biggest compliment I can give Bruno and Wolves is they're a team that I actively want to avoid playing. The game last season, one of the best moments. Divock Origi, where is he now? God, a bloody man. Comes off the bench, scores a winning goal. Amazing. Yeah. The defending, the desire from Wolves was so incredible, and they're a team that I hate playing against. I think they're very strong defensively. They've got some really... Pedro Neto, I really like.
Yeah, they've got some good individuals. Connor Cody's just gone, hasn't he?
Weird that he's gone on loan to Everton. Strange. Really...
Maybe he thinks Lampard's better than Lage.
Well, Connor Cody is a delusional... traitor. He could have been a Liverpool legend.
It's true, yeah.
Could have been a Liverpool legend, unless he goes there and he does what Rafa Benitez does. But I will give Bruno. He's not elite. He's not Championship at best. I wouldn't say he's second tier. So I'm going to go third tier of mid-table.
Yeah, I was thinking third tier, just because of what the Wolves team may have got. But he probably could do better with them. I don't know if he's get backed or not. So that's pretty much it, isn't it? I don't know if there's anything that we regret saying.
Well, I don't know. We might have to do a public apology for Steve Cooper. We were a little bit out of line there. I say we, you. I did make a cheeky little Halloween joke.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to wrap it up there. Then I think
do people agree with our comments? It's been an hour of us talking about managers.
It has been. If you stuck with us for just over 58 minutes, fair play. We can't give them a tenner. No.
If they comment that they've got to the end, I'll go around your house to give you a tenner.
Well, I mean, it's a tantalising offer to have Chris sit on your sofa. But what I would say is, thank you so much for everyone who's been watching recently. We've had like a real upturn in views. Obviously, it's not loads, but for such a small channel like ours, it genuinely, it was a bit like, my eyes popped up my head where I thought...
It went viral.
No, it went viral, but it was great. It was genuinely amazing to see. We've had like a couple of likes, and we've had some like really cool comments actually, like some people having some really interesting football comments, and that's what I personally want from this channel, just like a really relaxed football podcast where anyone from any fan base, unless you're Steve Cooper, can come along and have a chat. Seriously, we need to start talking about Steve Cooper.
Let's get him on this podcast.
We will get.
We'll put a bag on his head. So,
fucking it right. On that note, so if you guys could give the video a like, if you could subscribe, and let us know in the comments down below your tiers, your rankings of manager, going from elite level Big Sam all the way to Championship Forest.
Who's first manager gets sacked this season now?
You put me on the spot. Oh my god.
I'm going to go for...
Watford aren't in the league anymore, are they? They're always a good bet.
I'm going to go for Ralph Hasselhout at Southampton. Because they'll just forget about him. Like I did.
Well, if they forget about him, they're not going to sack him, are they? So
that's true, actually. Maybe,
Eric Ten Hag. Bold. I think if Man United...
yeah, I mean...
it's not going to happen. Frank Lampard. Because Everton are getting relegated. Yes.
Yeah, alright, that's good. Well,
thank
you.
So, yes.
Subscribe, like, and... yeah, good night.
Thank you so much for watching.
Good outro, please.